Today we're checking out the JBL Live Flex 3. Was there even a Live Flex 2? Pretty sure there wasn't. JBL kind of does their own thing with their naming. So today I'll be scoring and ranking them against the old Live Flex, as well as 8 other half-in-ear earbuds in 10 categories. These retail for $249 in Australia. Availability in the US, at least now, is a bit unknown. Now here's my current leaderboard with the Galaxy Buds 3 in the first spot, AirPods 4 A and C just behind. And I've created a spreadsheet linked below which allows you to customize the scoring to your specific needs. More on that later though. Alright, starting with category 1, we've got comfort. Now tricky to score because we all have different ears, but you basically get the same ergonomics as the Live Flex. So the bud is still on the chunky side, but the plastics are smoother, especially around the driver, which used to cause me slight discomfort on the old Flex. So I'm scoring them an 8.5 out of 10. It should be comfortable for most ears. AirPods 4 A and C have the extra half point because they're more compact. And the higher you go up in score, the more compact the earbud becomes. But with half-in-ear earbuds, it's very hit and miss with the lack of an ear tip. Most of these buds work fine for me, but it's a bit of a lucky dip. Now, category 2 is the security of the fit. Again, this is just how they fit me. They stay in very well for me, so I can use them when weight training and running, they work great. But I generally find a stem style earbud just works for me. So I'm scoring them an 8 out of 10. The Sony Link buds have the highest score because they actually have a wingtip. The only issue I have with the fit is that I get an uneven fit due to that slightly chunky earbud, which does affect the sound quality, but you can fix this with the left and right audio balance in the app. And I have this same issue across most half-in-ear earbuds, except for the AirPods 4 A and C, I get a pretty even fit with those buds. Now, category 3 is the IP rating. So you get an IP54 dust and water resistant rating on the earbuds. So fine for sweat, use in the rain, and splashes of water. So I'm scoring them an 8 out of 10. You don't get any water resistance on the case. You did get an IPX2 on the Live Flex, but the case has a screen now, so that kind of makes sense. Now, category 4 is case and battery life. So you get an advertised 7 hours on the earbuds and 50 hours in total with noise cancelling off. That goes up to 7 hours and 35 hours with noise cancelling on, which is by far the best for a noise cancelling half-in-ear earbud. The previous best was a JBL Live Flex with 6 hours and 30 hours with noise cancelling on. In terms of fast charge, chuck the buds in the case for 10 minutes, you're gonna get 4 hours of playback with noise cancelling off. The only issue here is that the case is a chunky one. It's still pocketable, but there will be some pocket bulge action if you're wearing tighter pants as well. It's noticeably thicker than the Live Flex, and here it is compared to the thinnest case, the AirPods 4 A and C. But you can attach a lanyard, and of course you have the screen on the case. So you can upload your own wallpapers to it as well, and the options include track control, volume, noise cancelling, spatial audio, EQ settings, you can set a timer, change the brightness, you've got phone call options, a wearing detection toggle, and you can have notifications displayed including messages. Finally, there's Find My Buds, a flashlight, and language settings. Most of these I wouldn't use, so you can just set as many of these as you want. It's not the smoothest or most responsive touchscreen, but it gets the job done. So even though the case is chunky, I gotta give them a 10 out of 10 because you're just getting the most overall battery life. The other buds that have a score of 10 do give you slimmer cases, but slightly less battery. Now, category 5 is controls. So you get a single, double, triple tap and long hold, and a nice subtle beep feedback with each press. You can add volume here, but JBL is still using really outdated customization. If you want to add it in, you need to sacrifice your ambient control or playback control. Same as the Live Flex. I was really hoping this would be updated, but sadly it's not. But you can control volume with the case, but let's be honest, I think most of us would want to just use it on our earbuds. The wearing detection here works well to automatically pause and play your music when you take one or both earbuds out of your ear. It's a bit slow to resume music when you put the bud back in your ear, because when you put the buds back in your ear, you'll hear a chime, so you have to wait 3 seconds. And if you don't like wearing detection, you can just turn it off in the app. And the buds now have skin detection, so if you take one bud out and put it in your pocket, for example, your music won't start playing, where with other earbuds that use the most common optical sensor, your music would resume if you put the bud in your pocket. The only other earbuds to have this are the AirPods 3 and Galaxy Buds 3. I don't think this is advertised, so a nice sneaky upgrade. So I'm scoring them an 8 out of 10, half a point higher than the Live Flex because they have skin detection. Now, category 6 is connectivity. So you get Bluetooth 5.3, SBC, AAC, and LDAC high res. You also get Google Fast Pair, Google Finder, and Audio Switch. Now, if you want to use one earbud while you leave the other in the case, that works fine, and it works in mono mode. So if you're using one earbud, you're going to hear the left and right audio channel out of that one bud. And you get multi-point connection here, so you can have 2 devices connected to the buds at the same time. You just need to pause playback on one device before you resume it on your other device for that audio to kick in. And in the app, you have an audio or a video mode. I just have it set to audio mode because the latency is still completely fine when watching YouTube videos or movies. If you're into mobile gaming, the video mode brings the latency down ever so slightly, but I wouldn't say it's on a level of latency to be suitable for quicker reaction games like shooters. But casual gaming is fine, so overall score here is a 9 out of 10. Now, category 7 is app customization and extra features. So I'll touch on all the main features and go into a bit more detail later. So you can get the JBL app on iOS or Android. Homepage has your earbud and case battery. The general tab has those case settings that I ran through before. Smart talk, audio and video mode, control settings and voice prompt language. Next you have the audio tab, which has one of the best EQs. You can add basically an unlimited amount of bands in there, as much as you can basically fit on the screen. There's an adaptive EQ toggle, which you'll definitely want to turn on, which I'll cover later. You have spatial audio options. Personify is like a hearing test, which you might want to turn on as well. Left and right audio balance, which you definitely want to use if you get an uneven fit. There's a max volume limiter, which will limit the max volume of the earbuds to 85 decibels. You get tons of phone call customization, which I'll run through next. And finally, the other tab has 5 ambient kind of soundscapes you can add in. You can set 5 and combine 5 all at once, or just use 1 or 2. Pretty cool, a unique way to implement some soundscapes. There's also a Find My Buds feature, which will emit a beep from the earbuds if you misplace them. Finally, you have your auto power off options and firmware updates. That's a lot of customization. And I'm also going to add in the case screen as kind of like an extra feature. So they're getting a score of 10 out of 10. Great customization, and it's a very reliable, easy to use app. All right, category 8 is call quality, and I run through 3 tests here: a quiet room, simulation crowd noise, and a simulation windy city with construction noise. Final score is the average of all 3 tests. First, you can mute your microphone using the touch controls on the earbud. Use long hold on the left earbud, and you can also do this on the case. You can't use noise cancelling when you're on a call, but you can turn on ambient sound so you can hear your surroundings a little bit better. Not really needed though for this type of bud, because you can already hear your surroundings with the lack of an ear tip. There's also a sound level optimizer, which will boost the volume of whoever you're speaking to if their microphone is pretty dodgy. You can also change the sound settings of your own voice or the person on the other end of the call. But playing around with it, I didn't notice much difference, so the natural setting worked fine for me. Then there's a pretty unique private call mode, which will allow you to take one earbud out and hold it kind of close to your mouth so you don't have to speak too loud if you're in like a quiet environment. You can kind of almost whisper into your earbud and speak to someone secretly. It's a bit weird, but I can kind of see this working. I'm sure someone can put it to use. So you're getting heaps of customization. The call quality is pretty decent. They're getting a 7.5 out of 10. Very similar to the Live Flex, so I'll compare it to them, as well as one of the highest ranked, Samsung Galaxy Buds 3. All right, here's a call quality of the JBL Live Flex in a quiet room. All right, here is a call quality of the JBL Live Flex 3 in a quiet room. All right, here's the call quality of the Samsung Galaxy Buds 3 in a quiet room. All right, now we're going to see how the microphones block out some simulation crowd noise. All right, here is the JBL Live Flex with some simulation crowd noise. All right, here's the call quality of the JBL Live Flex 3 with some simulation crowd noise. All right, here is the call quality of the Samsung Galaxy Buds 3 with some simulation crowd noise. All right, now I've got some city noise, some construction noise, and some simulation wind. All right, here is the JBL Live Flex with some city noise, construction noise, and some simulation wind. All right, here's the JBL Live Flex 3 with some city noise, construction noise, and some simulation wind. All right, here is the call quality of the Samsung Galaxy Buds 3 with some city noise, construction noise, and simulation winds. All right, category 9 is noise cancelling, and how I test my noise cancelling, I chuck on my soundbar nice and loud and play simulation plain noise and crowd noise, so I get low, middle, high, consistent, as well as inconsistent sounds. And here's the scoring for all the buds. The total score is the average of both tests, rounded up to the nearest half. So the Flex 3 gets a total score of 7. It's a noticeable upgrade over the Live Flex. It's still relatively light noise cancelling though. Even the AirPods 4 A and C aren't on the level of budget earbuds with an ear tip. Now, some issues with half in-ear noise cancelling is that if you're getting an uneven fit or the buds aren't giving you much of a seal, you're not going to get very strong noise cancelling. And the buds can move out of place a bit easier than a bud that has an ear tip. And for me, on the Flex 3, the noise cancelling is pretty uneven. As I mentioned, I get a slightly uneven fit. The cabin pressure is pretty minimal here though. That's kind of like that suction feeling you get in your ear with noise cancelling on. The high ranked earbuds have quite a bit of cabin pressure because the noise cancelling has to work overtime with the lack of a seal. And because of this, most of the earbuds pick up wind very easily when you're outside, but since the Flex 3 noise cancelling is pretty moderate, it doesn't pick up too much wind. But if they do pick up too much wind, there's an automatic wind reduction built in to the earbuds. So when the mics pick up too much wind, it'll turn the noise cancelling off. And when there's no more wind detected, it takes about 3 seconds for the noise cancelling to turn back on. There's no way to turn this on or off in the app though. Now, when it comes to EQ shift, this is how your sound quality changes with noise cancelling on compared to transparency compared to noise cancelling off. So when you have noise cancelling on, you get about a 15% bass increase. And I think these sound the best with noise cancelling on, which you'll want to do. So I'll explain all my sound customization in the next round. The final round, it's sound quality. Starting with volume here, here's a quick scoring, keeping in mind this is going off just what I hear. I just don't have equipment to measure half-in-ear earbuds right now. So they're not the loudest earbud, but you're getting plenty of volume to play with. A nice improvement over the Live Flex. And like the Live Flex, to get the best sound quality out of these buds, you need to do a ton of EQ customization. So let's start from the top. First thing, make sure you have noise cancelling on, which is going to boost the bass. With half-in-ear earbuds, we need as much bass as we can get because you're not getting an ear tip to create a seal. I also set my left and right audio balance 2 clicks to the left to fix that uneven fit that I get. Next, we have the adaptive EQ settings. So be sure to turn on that low volume EQ. This slightly improves the bass and treble response at those lower volumes because naturally we're going to hear less at lower decibels. This is a pretty rare feature. Right now it's just Bose, Apple, and Google that use this feature. Now the next setting you want to turn on is the sound leakage compensation. So this will change the sound based on how the earbuds fit in your ear canal. And this makes the most difference to the sound quality. For me, it massively opens up the sound stage and everything just sounds fuller and richer, especially when it comes to bass. There's 2 issues with it though. First, you can't use LDAC with this feature on, which is not too big of a deal. The second issue though, every time you take the earbuds out of your ear and put them back in, or pause and play your music, it takes about 8 seconds for that sound leakage compensation to turn back on. Not a complete deal breaker, but I really hope this can be fixed via firmware. Now, even with all this customization on, the bass is still a little bit lacking. So let's jump into the EQ and make some pretty dramatic changes. So this is my go-to EQ, a pretty massive bass boost and treble boost. This gets the bass to a much fuller level, pretty close to an earbud that uses an ear tip. It's really impressive and it's definitely the standout here. You can also try the Personify 3.0 hearing test. For me, it does open the soundstage up a little bit more, but adds a little bit of reverb to the sound. Sounds kind of strange, so I prefer having that off, but play around with it, you might like it. But overall, the fact you can combine all of the sound customization is very impressive to see. But honestly, it would have been nice to just have this decent sound without having to do all of this. But now, onto the sound quality explanation with all this customization. So for half-in-ear standards, you're actually getting a little bit of deep sub bass here, but it's an overall rich bass response, a little bit on the boomy side. So there's a decent amount of mid bass, but it's not to the point of becoming too bloated or messy. And you can play around with the bass in the EQ customization and bring it down slightly. It's just that with this type of bud, we need as much bass as we can get. Now the mid-range here is very impressive. Vocals are clear and natural, and you get nice treble detail with a little bit of sparkle after EQing that. I would have liked to see a little bit more detail in the upper treble. If you start boosting it anywhere past what I did in the EQ, I found that it got a little bit too harsh. But overall, this is some of the best half-in-ear sound you can get right now. A massive improvement over the Live Flex. It's just miles better overall when it comes to clarity, soundstage, and detail. But I do need to give it to the Live Flex. After I EQ the hell out of those, they do push out slightly more deep sub bass. So if you like your deep sub bass, they're still the best overall out of all the earbuds I've tested. But the actual clarity of the sound is nothing compared to the Flex 3. So I'm scoring them a 9.5 out of 10. Overall, the sound is on par with the Samsung Galaxy Buds 3. They also need quite a bit of EQing, and I would say they do have slightly better instrument separation. But when it comes to bass, I have to give it to the Flex 3, plus you can push out more bass at higher volumes, where the Buds 3 do struggle with bass at higher volumes. The Flex 3, you basically retain most of the bass, even if you want to venture to 100%. But the Samsung Buds 3 also use leakage compensation that does work instantly, so that's a pretty big plus for them. Now compared to the AirPods 4 ANC, I have them scored as a 10 out of 10. I have to just give the slight edge when it comes to sound to the AirPods ANC. I find the mids and treble just a bit richer on the AirPods. But with bass, it's very similar. And with the AirPods 4 ANC, they just sound great out of the box. There's no need to customize the sound. You sadly can't customize the sound, which actually would have been nice, but if you just want great sound without having to do any of this crazy customization, the AirPods 4 ANC are the way to go. But going back to the Flex 3, just to wrap up sound here, you do get spatial audio that is, well, it's spatial audio. It's not that great. You get 3 modes, they all have a little bit too much reverb. It does work okay when watching movies to give you a bit more of that 3D surround sound effect, but I personally never use it. But that wraps up all 10 categories, and this scoring doesn't mean much because you're probably going to favor certain categories. That's why I created the free custom scoring spreadsheet linked below. So on there you get notes for each score. It's specifications tab, and a core quality tab. You can personalize the scoring for each category, and that'll change the total score and give you a new ordered ranking below. But now the final scores are in, and the Flex 3 finished with 85.5 out of 100. So that puts them in the 3rd spot. So taking price into account, I think the Buds 3 are better if you're in the Samsung ecosystem, AirPods 4 ANC, better if you're in the Apple ecosystem. But these do go on sale a bit cheaper than both of those earbuds, so they're a slightly more budget-friendly option, and you get the case screen, which some people do like. But if you are interested in the AirPods or the Galaxy Buds, be sure to check out my full reviews right here. Thanks a lot for tuning in, stay picky, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.